Hey guys, welcome to my home. So for this particular video, what we're going to do is we're going to pre-cut some plywood boards to be able to put on the exterior windows and doors of my home just in case. So this is common in areas that go through hurricanes. Residents put plywood on their windows to be able to protect it from flying debris. And then also it's common in times of protests and looting where businesses put it outside of their establishments to protect it from getting looted. So what I wanted to do is just have some pre-cut boards that are ready to go in case of an emergency and then put them away in storage. So we're going to pre-cut them to the exact size of all the various windows and doors. We're going to pre-drill them, and then we're also going to label them so we know which one goes where. So let's get started now with this video featuring pre-cut plywood boards for the exterior of your homes. Let's get started. I went to Home Depot to pick up the plywood for this project. It's probably a good idea if all preppers had 5 to 10 sheets of 4x8 plywood stored in their garage in case of an emergency. It's recommended to use plywood that's at least 5/8 of an inch in thickness. I got the 19 by 32 inch thickness plywood, which comes in sheets of 4 feet by 8 feet for around $25 each. So for this project, I picked up 5 sheets of the plywood, which cost me around $125. I also picked up a 4x8 sheet of 2-inch insulation foam to cut the plywood on. This is a little trick I learned on YouTube, and it just cost me around $15. I don't own a truck, so I rented a truck from Home Depot for 75 minutes, which cost me around $20. I also picked up a couple hundred exterior wood screws that are around 2.5 inches in length and 2 T25 bits to use for inserting the screws. I have my pre-cut plywood project broken up into 3 phases. Phase 1 is just for the front of the house. I'm doing this mainly for rioters and looters that might be throwing bricks and rocks and things at the windows. Phase 2 is to cut custom plywood sheets for the whole ground level of my home. So if a horde of zombies came around the house, I would at least have plywood on all of those windows at ground level. And then phase 3 includes all remaining windows, including the second story windows. This isn't as much for rioters or zombies or anything like that, but more for natural disasters like a hurricane or maybe a volcanic eruption. So the goal of mine is just to make it a little bit more of a burden to break into my particular house. It also allows me more time to take defensive action if need be. If you wanted to disguise your home further, you could take some spray paint and draw on some slogans on the plywood, or you could even do something like a Katrina X code, for example, during the zombie apocalypse. Just kidding, of course. Here's the equipment that I used for this particular project. Now, I'm not that much of a handyman, but I try to do the best that I can. So I used one circular saw with a 6.5 inch blade, a cordless drill with drill bits, a tape measure, a notebook for writing down all of the measurements of the doors and windows. You're going to need a pencil or Sharpie for making the cut lines on the boards. And then I use a Sharpie for labeling each board that's cut. I also used a straight edge for drawing the cutting lines. And it's always good to have some PPE like goggles and gloves. So the first thing that I did was measure the doors and windows of the front section of the house. I went all the way out to the edge of the frame of the windows and doors. The exterior doors and windows of my home are fairly flush, so it works pretty well for this project. There's a few cool videos on YouTube with people using internal mounting with some 2x4s on the interior portion of the house, where they basically make a little sandwich out of the plywood. I'm not doing that, I'm just going for the quick and dirty approach. So I start off by laying that large piece of foam on the ground that I'm going to be cutting on, and then I put the plywood on top. Next, I measure the dimensions for the window or door and draw the cut lines using the straight edge. Using the circular saw, I carefully make my cuts on the plywood. I have the circular saw set to slightly deeper than the wood to just hit the top layer of the foam. This helps keep the plywood completely flat while cutting and also protects your blade. After it's completely cut out, I check it out with putting it against the door or window. After ensuring that it's a proper fit, I next put some drill holes in all 4 corners of the plywood. This will make it a little bit easier when having to deploy this plywood in an actual emergency situation. I would just use a cordless drill and screw on those exterior wood screws with the T25 bits. To make emergency deployment easier, I label each of the boards using that Sharpie marker and indicate what window or door the particular piece of plywood is used for. I have all of these ones starting off with the word front and then indicating the specific door or window. When I move on to phases 2 and 3, I'm going to repeat this for the back, north, and south sides of the house. To get a little fancier, it would be best to paint on a clear coat of waterproof protection on the wood. This will help protect it from the elements a little more. If you wanted to get more tactical with this project, you could use some bulletproof fiberglass resistant panels like the ones made by Insulgard. There's a few different companies that make these style of bullet resistant panels such as Insulgard, ArmorText, and ArmorCore. I haven't used them myself, but I've seen other YouTube videos and they look pretty cool. But this would most likely be a lot more expensive. However, it's definitely something to consider if you wish to go a little bit more tactical. And that's basically all the steps that I took for pre-cutting the plywood for the exterior windows and doors of my home. Again, I just took the measurements, cut out the plywood on top of the foam, made sure that it fit correctly, and then drilled some holes in each corner for the screws that would be inserted upon deployment. Phase 1 was a pretty easy project that just took a couple hours from start to finish. In a few days from now, I'm going to move on to Phase 2, where I could get all of the ground level windows and doors. This will definitely be more expensive, but it'll give me peace of mind that the ground level of our home is protected from the horde. That's going to do it for this video, featuring pre-cut plywood boards to be able to put on the exterior of your home just in case. So I have these stored in the garage right now in case of an emergency for quick deployment. So phase 1 for me was to try to get the front of the house protected with pre-cut plywood boards. Phase 2 is to get all of the exterior windows and doors around the entire first level of the house. So anywhere that you could just walk up to a window or a door, I want to get all of those covered next. Third is going to be able to get all of the windows at the home, including the upper floor ones. But that's my phase 3 project. So I hope that you guys enjoyed watching this video. Please leave your comments below in the comment section regarding this video. And it gives me a little bit more of peace of mind knowing that I have some level of protection for our home in case of an emergency. So leave your comments below and stay tuned for more videos. See you guys.